Hi, I'm your Everyday Joe. Thanks for coming to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a homemade lasagna using the Power Air Fry oven, so stay tuned. The ingredients we're going to be using for our lasagna, homemade lasagna, is some of this oven-ready Barilla pasta. This Barilla pasta doesn't require any boiling, so we're going to be using that. Also some sliced mozzarella cheese and some shredded mozzarella cheese, some grated Parmigiana Romano mix, olive oil, some whole milk ricotta cheese, and a meat marinara sauce that I made earlier. So just going to put in some of this meat marinara sauce first. Now you can use a canned tomato and just mash it up, or use a jarred sauce, that'll work too. So just bring it to a boil, let it simmer for a little while, and then take it off the heat and let it cool. So as you can see, I mean, it's still a little bit warm because I've just made it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a couple of ladles or spoonfuls of the sauce on the bottom, which I've already sprayed. This is about a 9x9 baking pan that'll fit perfectly in the Power Air Fry oven. I've used this before. So let's get some of the meat into the bottom here. All right. Okay, and this Barilla pasta, I've used this before. It actually comes out really well. I had my doubts about it, but it works really well. If you haven't gotten it or tried it, give it a shot. It actually works perfectly for this dish here. You know, and the pasta is basically a like a dry homemade pasta. It's really thin, you know, so it will break on you. But it says you don't need to boil it, which I had my doubts, and it actually worked out really well. So in the pan, two will fit perfectly side by side. So I'm going to add a little bit of sauce to the top here, and you don't want to overdo it with the sauce. You don't want to make soup, so you want your lasagna to be a little on the drier side, and this will cook perfectly, like I said. Okay, the next step is some of this whole milk ricotta. Now you can use the skim milk if you want, ricotta, the lighter. I just think the texture and the flavor with the whole milk comes out better. It's not as watery either. The skim milk one seems to be a little watery. So we're just going to add a little bit. And again, you don't want to overdo it. Okay, I just put a couple of dabs, you know, right along it. You know, it will flatten out. We'll flatten it out afterwards. So next, I'm going to get some of this Parmigiano and Romano mix, which I bought pre-grated, and I just mixed it up together myself. All right, put that in. Next step is the mozzarella slices. Now, if you can't find a slicer, you don't want to use the slices, the shredded works perfectly. I just think this covers everything really well. It keeps everything flat. Okay, so 2 slices per section, so 4 slices per layer. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to add a little bit more sauce to the top here, just almost like a binder to help keep everything settled. Next layer I put crosswise, so everything is kind of interconnected, and again will help keep everything together. So put that on, just press it down lightly so it doesn't break, just to flatten everything out. A little bit more sauce. And like I said, you don't need a whole lot, just enough to make it damp. Okay, next is we're going to add again some some grated cheese. We're going to add some grated cheese to the top here, and just repeat the process. Cheese here. Okay, and some ricotta. Now you can put it in different sequences. It doesn't have to be exactly the way you do it, as long as everything is in the same layer. Okay. Okay. All right, a little bit more sauce to the top. Okay, good. And you know what? A little bit more grated cheese. Why not? Why not? We're going to throw a little bit of basil also in there, which you can season with anything you want. I wouldn't go with salt and pepper at this point because I've already used it in the sauce that I made. If you want to add it, again, to your flavor, salt and pepper, all you want. Okay, next one. Go back to the original, and this is the 3rd layer. You're probably going to get about 4 layers in something like this, and that's plenty. It'll make 4 big, thick pieces, which is fine for 4 people, 4 servings. All right, so add some more sauce to the top. Okay, and some ricotta cheese. And this is about a 15, 16 ounce container. I'm probably going to use about half of it for this meal. I think if you go too heavy on the ricotta, it will get sloppy on you. It kind of becomes soup. Okay, so add that to the top here. Get all that in there. A little bit more because this is probably going to be the last layer here. The next layer is going to have just the pasta and the cheese. All right. So a little bit more cheese. Okay, and some of the basil seasoning. And a couple of these here. And some shredded to cover it. Okay. So add a little bit more sauce to the top here, because this is going to be the top layer. And again, the sauce is going to help cook your pasta. Okay. All right. Let's get that one over the top. And what I'm doing is when I'm putting it down, I'm lightly pressing it so it flattens out like that. Okay, because we want everything to kind of be even as it cooks. So at this point here, I'm just going to add a little bit, and add some more sauce to the top. All right. We're going to have a little bit more grated cheese. And we're going to top it with some shredded mozzarella cheese. Okay. So we're using about, this is about 8 ounces total of this. And it was about 8 ounces or 10 slices of the slice mozzarella cheese. So we're just going to cover that up and press it down. Okay, just so everything sits nicely. Tap that down. All right, and season the top with a little bit of the basil. And I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil to the top too. Again, it's going to add a little bit of flavor too here. And it's going to keep the tin foil, which I'm going to cover it up because I want it to bake long enough. I'm going to use the tin foil to help steam it, and the oil will keep it from sticking to the tin foil. Now you can spray the tin foil too. You want the shiny side up always. And we're going to cover this. Like that. Okay, make that nice. And I've preheated the power air fry oven for about 10 minutes just to get the temperature even in it. You probably don't have to, but because this is going to bake for a while, I just wanted to get a head start on it. All right. So now I'm going to take a knife here. We're just going to put little slits at the top, just a few of them to allow the steam to escape a little bit. All right. So open the power air fryer oven. I've got the rack a set second slot from the bottom, so maybe about an inch or so off the bottom. You don't want it too close because you do want the air to circulate all the way around. And we're going to slide that in all the way in, and it fits perfectly. The 9x9 works really well in this power air fry oven. Close this up, and we're going to set it to 350 for about 20-25 minutes. I'll set it for 25 minutes. We'll check it. It's probably going to be cooked at that point, and then we'll take the cover off and continue baking it until it's nice and crispy at the top. Okay, so now the first bake is done. It's been 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Let's pull it out and see what we got. So make sure you wear a oven-safe glove. This is pretty hot. Okay, so let's take a look. So we're just going to pull the top off here. Okay, pull the top off, and it really smells good. So, because now we're going to do the second bake and try to get a nice crust on the top. Okay, cheese did stick a little bit, so probably spraying it will help. All right, so let's grab a fork just to kind of give you an idea. I mean, it's pretty soft, you know, and it goes all the way through, so I know that the pasta's cooked. So I'm going to put it back in here for another 10 minutes, get it all nice and toasty. Okay, let's get that in here. Okay, we're going to go, this time we're going to go 400 for, we'll go about 8 minutes. We'll go about 8 minutes. If it takes longer, I'll let you know at the end of this. So when we come back, I'll show you what it looks like. We'll plate it up. Obviously, we're going to have to let it cool. And for lasagna, you want to make sure that it does cool for about 20 minutes or so, half hour, just so everything kind of solidifies and becomes one piece, easier to cut. So when I get to that point, I'll bring you back and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so now it's been 10 minutes since we started cooking the top. I want to show you what it looks like when I pull it out before we let it cool. And of course, we're going to let this cool for about 15-20 minutes so we can cut into it. So let's take a look. So again, 10 minutes at 400 degrees without a cover. And look at this. You see that? Look how nice that looks. That's beautiful. Beautiful lasagna. And you can see it nice and toasted around the edges. It is, again, very soft. So I want to wait until it cools off a little bit and it'll pull itself together. And then we'll cut into it and we'll plate it up and have ourselves a little feast here. So I'll bring you back in about a half hour to take a look at it. I've already cut the lasagna along the edges. I basically just kind of scored it to make sure it comes across or comes away from the sides. So just use a thin knife here. And I understand that this is a non-stick, but I want to make sure that it doesn't fall apart when I pull it out. So lots of cheese. So let's get my little spatula here, and we're going to get a piece out. So we want to make sure everything is loose before we pull it out of it. So let's here. Look at that, huh? Awesome. So we're going to put that in a plate here. Let's take that off. All right. So you can take a look at inside here. It pulled together really nice. It's not all mushy. It's not all flattened out. So it stays together really nice. I'm really happy with this Barilla pasta here. I'm definitely going to keep using it. So we have our lasagna. I'm going to add a little bit more sauce to the top here, little to the edges. All right. There you have it. Let's cut into it and see what we did. I'm sure it's delicious. I've made this before. So just cut into that just to show you. Nice, cheesy. Absolutely, really good homemade lasagna. Didn't take long at all. Use your air fryer for it. Took half hour, 35 minutes total. Prep time is almost nothing. It took me longer to make the marinara sauce than assemble this lasagna. This is one of the easiest meals I've made in the Power Air Fry oven. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed some of the ideas I've come up with for the pasta and the air fryer. It is very useful to cook many different types of dishes. And I mean, look at the size of this just in this video. It easily feed 4 people. So if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give me some likes, some shares. Give me some comments down in the bottom. Let me know what you think. I'll leave some videos here on the side for you to watch. Some other recipe ideas that I use both the Power Air Fry oven and the Ninja Foodie. Also, leave some links at the bottom. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you, and I'll see you in the next video.